Hi, everyone. This is Rabbi Moshe Rothschild from the Global Israel Alliance. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Tonight we will begin the seventh and final night of Passover. So this week it has been pretty much a vacation week for people from work and from school. Everything is shut down and people are traveling all over the country. But I want to try to get the news out to you now because tomorrow, Friday, is the last day of Passover. Orthodox Jews like myself, we're not allowed to use electrical appliances, etc., and I will not be able to do this tomorrow, so I'm going to get this out to you today. And so here goes. This week on Tuesday, Prime Minister Netanyahu called for a resolution to name a town in the Golan Heights after Donald Trump. Of course, if you remember, Donald Trump recognized the Golan Heights as part of Israel, not as quote-unquote occupied territories, and switched the official government maps of the United States, including the Golan Heights, as part of Israel. So our Prime Minister called for a resolution to name a town after Donald Trump. There is precedent for this. There is a town in Israel called Kfar Truman, named for Harry Truman, of course, the president of the United States, who recognized Israel almost immediately after the United Nations, Israel declared itself a state in May of 1948. This week in the news, Bernie Sanders called Netanyahu a racist government. Of course, he's misinformed, and he believes that Netanyahu is mistreating the Arabs here in the land of Israel, and he referred to Netanyahu very offensively as a racist government. Jared Kushner this week, when interviewed by Time magazine, discussing the so-called deal of the century, which is the Trump administration peace plan that will be unveiled here in Israel after the next government is formed. It should be sometime after Passover and sometime after Ramadan. So we're looking, I think, possibly June, when the U.S. is going to reveal its peace plan. Kushner was talking about it, and he said things that the U.S., quote, will not try to impose its will, meaning that it has to be something that the Israelis and the Palestinians will accept. Saudi Arabia has, in the news, and other Arab states have been putting pressure on the Palestinians to accept the peace plan. Jared Kushner did say that old formulas such as the two-state solution have been dropped, and that will not be part of this peace plan. Its details have been highly guarded and been very few leaks. But this idea of getting rid of the two-state plan, in my opinion, is an excellent idea. It has not proven to work in the past, and we need to understand that Israel is going to be the only state in this region, and the Palestinians can have some sort of self-rule, etc., but there will be only one state, and that will be the state of Israel. We see that any state in this region basically run by the Arabs are not democracies. And why do we want to create another state that A, would not be a democracy, and B, would be a threat to Israel? Next, this week, Israel announced that for Independence Day, which is coming up pretty soon, there's a ceremony, an annual ceremony that they light at the government ceremony for Independence Day. They light candles in honor, torches in honor of Independence Day, and they've invited the leaders of the Pittsburgh Jewish community to come and light a torch in memory of that terrorist incident, I believe, where there were 11 worshipers killed in a synagogue in Pittsburgh. So that was very touching that they were invited to participate. We also want to mention, even though it's not didn't happen here in Israel, it's not directly related to Israel, but it is indirectly, and that is the terrible tragedy that occurred in Sri Lanka this week with about 300 people killed, more than there were hundreds injured. And amongst them, there were some American citizens, some terrible stories coming out of Sri Lanka. But, you know, Israel's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. What happens here in Israel seems to spread. Terrorism began really here with with the suicide bombings and so on and so forth. And it has, like a cancer, spread around the world. And it's something that we cannot tolerate, this Islamic jihadi terror. There were warnings in advance that were ignored. And we here in Israel stand in solidarity, and we pray for the victims and for their families. And it was really, really a terrible, terrible tragedy. So not to end with that, tonight will begin the seventh night of Passover, which in the Bible is when the Jewish people crossed the Red Sea. And tonight, my daughter Shira was born 12 years ago, and so we'll officially be celebrating her bat mitzvah tonight. She got the name Shira. Shira means song, because when the Jewish people crossed the Red Sea, they sang a song to God. So that is her name, Shira, and we'll be celebrating that tonight. Wishing you all a wonderful week. This is Rabbi Moshe Rothschild, the Global Israel Alliance, and for those of you who are celebrating, the happy last day of Passover, and we will see you next week. All the best.